Hello and welcome to Unify CypherSoft's webinar on key steps for in-house Oracle Forms conversion projects. This is your host, Matt Brunquell. And before we get started, I wanted to review a few housekeeping items. For those of you new to the Unify Corporation, we're a publicly traded software company, and we've been in business for over 30 years. We're known for being the first to deliver a relational database in the Unix environment. But since then, we've delivered development software products that run across different databases and platforms, really geared towards building and modernizing business applications and towards the business application developer who places a premium on productivity over low-level coding. Now, today our business has expanded beyond the database and development products. We still do those. We've also gone into modernization solutions as well, like the one we'll be reviewing today in the demo portion, Exodus. We encourage questions on the webinar, and the way you do that is to use the Q&A button on your WebEx toolbar. It's the button with the question mark. Now, there's also a chat button, but it just makes it easier for Khalid and I to look in one panel for the questions to make sure that we address all of them. Now, I mentioned Khalid Beg, who is our Director of Customer Services in our Oracle practice. He'll be driving the demo portion today, and I asked him to pipe in during the presentation where appropriate, as he has plenty of experience working with our customers on Oracle Forms modernization projects. I'll give you a little more background on him as we go into the demo. But for now, let's go ahead and review the agenda. So the objective for today's webinar is to provide you with a proven methodology for converting Oracle Forms applications to Java. Now, conversion projects can be a low-cost and effective alternative to a rewrite that retains the investment in your application. Now, we'll start with an introduction that includes an overview of Unify CypherSoft and also review the steps of a conversion project with the backdrop of using the CypherSoft Exodus tool. Next, we'll detail each of those conversion steps further, and those steps include analyze, prepare, and converting the application. And then we'll follow this with an overview of the deliverables once the application is converted. And then after this, we'll go ahead and do a demonstration using the Exodus tool so you can see how easy it can be to convert and deploy an Oracle Forms application into the Java environment. And the demo will focus around that conversion step in terms of the different key steps in the project. And then we'll follow this with the actual Q&A session, and we'll answer the questions that you post. So CypherSoft is a wholly owned subsidiary of Unify Corporation, and it has a very established and very successful practice for modernizing Oracle Forms applications. We're a member of the Oracle Modernization Alliance, or it's better known as the OMA. And the OMA is an Oracle initiative to help customers modernize their existing applications and infrastructure. In fact, if any of you are going to be at Oracle Open World, we're going to be there as well. But, they'll have an actual special section on modernizing applications. What's interesting is that CypherSoft's the only member of the OMA with a focus on Oracle Forms. So customers have built very successful applications in Oracle Forms, but what we find is many are looking to modernize them in today's technologies to keep them relevant. And there are several options that include the main ones for web enabling the application through an upgrade to like Forms 10G or 11. Rewriting the application, or automated conversion. Yes, there are pros and cons to consider depending on your requirements. CypherSoft offers services around all of them. And actually choosing what we're going to focus on the steps for applications converted to Java. Hold on one second here. So what we'll do is review the steps in a conversion project that we'll be detailing further. There are 4 high-level steps that we'll detail out a little further: analyze, prepare, convert, and acceptance. And you can see in the convert that we also talk about modify and, of course, testing, which is in any project involving an application and code. There'll be some manual effort after conversion, and you still have to test to ensure the functionality has converted to your satisfaction. But why don't we go ahead and go into each of these steps in a little bit more detail. So on the Analyze step, that's really the first step in the conversion project, is an analysis of the forms application. And the CypherSoft solution actually that we'll be showing you includes an analyzer to inspect Oracle Forms application files to be converted. And the input to that analyzer can either be the binary format of the forms, like the FMV, the menus and libraries, the MMBs and the PLLs, or the text representation of the forms, menus, and libraries created by the developer. These are the text and PLD extensions. If using the binary format, all the files must be in one directory so that the analyzer results are complete and in one report. There is an option that customer can actually send the application files to CypherSoft to run the analyzer, or the customer can download the analyzer to their environment and run it against their application and send the results to CypherSoft for review and basically coming back to you with a report on the analysis. What that analyzer does is it parses the application and it looks for any known unsupported built-in functions, or it's not even necessarily always unsupported functions, but functions that may not be necessary in the Java environment. And it'll report back how many occurrences of each of these functions exist and the exact location of those functions in the application. So, examples of these kinds of functions that the analyzer would flag include like go-to statements, where there really is no one-to-one equivalent in Java for, or like Web2, the Web2 util type of functions, because those are ones that decisions have to be made. Is that really necessary over in the converted application in Java, or is there a more appropriate way to do it? Just an example, like on the go-tos we see, sometimes we see for error handling code segments and forms, and in Java you would do a try-catch. But anyway, if you were to work with CypherSoft, we have kind of best practices and what makes most sense over on the Java side for these types of functions that you don't necessarily want to automate the conversion automatically. You want to make some decisions on. The other thing that the analyzer does, besides flagging those types of things in their locations, is it determines the conversion complexity levels for each of the forms. So there's 4 different categories it might place the form into. They're low, moderate, complex, and very complex. It's just looking at the different characteristics of the forms to place them in those. That really gives us an idea of how long will it take to convert, and how long will it take to debug and unit test each of those forms. And all of this just helps determine the effort and time involved for your conversion project. This way, you can know, that's why this analyze step is so important, or one that we actually highlighted in the key steps. Before you go into the project, just what kind of level of effort's involved, and where some of the key areas are that you're going to need to make decisions on. Now, some of those decisions have to be made with those functions I mentioned, but let's look at that on the next slide, along with other decisions that need to be made during the analyze step. So in addition to that functionality flagged by the analyzer, some other choices should be made during the stage of the project. These include the user presentation layer, or GUI. CypherSoft actually, we did a comparison of the main GUI options in a past webinar, and if you're interested, a recorded version of that's available for viewing on our website. But just for now, keep in mind that you have both web options in a browser, as well as an option for a Java client on the desktop for your presentation layer. And there's different reasons to be thinking about those, depending on the requirements of your application. Now, the target Java platform for your application should be identified as well. And this includes the JDK. So most customers are usually on 1.5 or 1.6 these days in the application server. And applications converted with CypherSoft with the Exodus tool will run on most Java application servers. What we've seen for most of our customers these days, they're either on the Oracle application server, WebSphere, or Tomcat/JBoss. Now, on that de-supported functionality, CypherSoft will typically review these flagged by that analyzer tool, as I mentioned, on a case-by-case basis with the customer to determine if the same functionality is needed in the new environment, or if it needs to be modified to fit in the new environment. So, for example, just one example, it's if, for example, you chose in the presentation layer to go with Oracle ADF. You know, there's things like the modal windows for LOBs and alerts and messages. They're displayed in the same window in the ADF option. So sometimes there's decisions like that that have to be looked at and to be made. And in instances where there's a flagged function that that is needed over on the Java side, and it occurs a bunch of times in your application, we'll actually look at incorporating support for that into the automated conversion tool. So, you know, if it appears once, it'll just be like a manual effort to address. But if it occurs a lot of times, we'll look at, you know, we'll talk to you about what is it that needs to be done with that over on the Java side. And if it occurs a lot, we'll incorporate it into the tool. Now, on that phases bullet, the last one, what we're talking about there is what we've seen and what we recommend in our projects or our customers' projects, if they're doing it with our tool, is that the conversion be done in a phased approach. With the first phase being small, you typically no more than 5 forms. And this way, the conversion process and the solutions for some of those flagged functions can be tried and tested to ensure user acceptance before completing the entire conversion or doing a big bang type of approach. And then the remainder of the project can be broken down into manageable sets, typically grouped by functionality, so that as phases are converted, they can then be moved to testing and into production without that big bang approach I mentioned. So once the analysis is completed and the decisions have been made, there are some preparation steps done prior to running the application through the automated conversion. These include freezing the modifications to the application and to set up a separate instance of the database to be used and tested as part of the conversion, removal of that de-supported functionality from the existing forms files, and then identifying all the forms, menus, and library files that the application uses, because you want to make sure you get all of those run through the conversion tool when you're going to actually do the conversion step. And then any other supporting files required to run the forms, things like icons, toolbars, things like that. And then as well as making sure you have your test scripts ready. Now, in addition, the conversion environment, what it consists of is typically the Oracle Forms Developer, you know, the appropriate version you're at, with database access entry into the tns-names.ora file. So for you Oracle Forms folks, you know what that is. The Oracle Enterprise Manager or Toad or a similar tool with access to the database schema. Installation of the Java JDK. Installation of the Java IDE like Oracle JDeveloper, which is what we use in-house, or similar Java IDEs such as Eclipse or RSA. And then installation of the application server, you know, whether that's the Oracle App Server or one of the other ones for running the compiled Java applications that should be converted. So we've talked about analyze and prepare, and so now you're actually ready to do the convert step. And so let's talk about that conversion process briefly. We're going to show you some of that actually in the demo. But basically you run the analyzer on the forms, you compare it to the initial results to ensure no changes. So you run that form you're getting ready to convert through the analyzer once more to make sure there's no changes since you started in that initial step. And then you compile the forms to make sure no files are missing. And then you perform that conversion, which we'll show in the demo. And you compile that code, you remove any conversion-related errors, you deploy it, you perform your unit testing or regression testing, you know, just to ensure the converted forms are displaying, they're performing the basic functions like render, query, save, those types of things. And then you make any necessary changes. And this unit testing is that test, and modify sub-bullets that we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. Now, as you'll see in the demo, the automatic conversion piece is very, very quick. And it's really the testing, both the unit testing and the user acceptance testing that we cover in the next slide that account for most of the time and effort in a conversion. That goes for an automated conversion or a rewrite, really. Now, what the CypherSoft Exodus tool does for for deployment is it creates a WAR file as part of the conversion step. And if multiple phases were decided upon during the analyze step, each phase would be delivered as a separate set of converted forms and WAR files. So I mentioned that WAR file generated as part of the conversion. Let's just take a moment to talk about that, since that's the actual output of the conversion. The WAR file is what gets deployed to the application server to run the Java application that you now have. And this includes the Java source code for maintaining and extending the application once it's converted. And there are two portions of this. The first one is the actual Java source code for your application. And then the second one is the Java source for Express. And what that Express is, these are Java classes and libraries that's provided by CypherSoft to emulate the Oracle Forms framework in Java. So as an Oracle Forms developer, you know that Oracle Forms had built in all of this functionality for message handling, query, update, delete logic for database objects. All that kind of stuff was in an Oracle Forms framework so that the Oracle Forms developer didn't have to do that low-level coding. It's how how they could be really productive in building business applications in Oracle Forms. So what CypherSoft did was recreated that functionality with standard Java classes and libraries, so you can continue to focus on just the source code of your application in Java. However, without all that being said, you get the source code to all those Express, the Java libraries and methods that we've created as part of your conversion, so you can maintain and extend it, choose to use it or choose to replace it, or modify it, do whatever you want with it. So the important thing to note here is that you get all of the Java source code needed to run your application and maintain and extend it. So once you have it, you are completely independent of any vendor. So the final step, in these high-level steps, is acceptance. And this involves user acceptance testing and any other testing like performance testing, load testing, just depending on your organization's testing process. And we've seen a wide spectrum on the level of testing, from really very basic to very, very intensive. And the Exodus tool lends itself to either end of the spectrum and anywhere in between. It's really seen a lot of different types of scenarios over the years, since its inception about 7 years ago. The other piece to this acceptance step that I kind of like to bring up is resolving issues reported through this testing phase. So in the case of when CypherSoft's involved in your conversion project, issues are reported through we have an online system called Jira, where both the customer and CypherSoft team involved in the project can track and report on all issues reported during this testing phase to make sure they get resolved and keep track of the progress, just from a kind of a change management and issue resolution perspective. So those are the 4 steps. And so at this point, I think what we want to do is demonstrate that conversion step in a project. And so some key points to keep in mind during the demonstration is what we're going to do is convert the Oracle Summit application. It won't be as complex as some of your applications, but it does have a lot of the key characteristics you would expect in a complex application. It has menus, it has some libraries, business logic. It's got 3 forms with multiple canvases, with the different tabs that you navigate through, with master detail types of relationships. And so you'll get a flavor for all of that. Now, this application doesn't have any conversion issues because we've been using it for many years, and so the tool recognizes everything in it. So it's not going to show up with any issues in the analyzer, so we won't show you the analyzer at this point. But you'll get a feel for what it does. Now, this is a full conversion. And what I mean by that is it converts every part of the application, the forms, the menus, the business logic, the data access. But note that you can choose just to do pieces. In the tool, and you'll see this, you have the ability to choose what pieces to convert. For example, you might just want to convert the PL SQL, the business logic, and then, or you might go through and convert the entire app, but then you might go back in and just convert the presentation layer into one of those different options that we mentioned. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to show a like-for-like conversion in the browser. So and we'll show you just how similar it looks. This is important to a lot of the customers that do projects. They want to do a like-for-like in getting the application converted over because it minimizes any disruption to the business users in adopting the converted application. So typically their objective is we want to get it over into the new platform as quickly as possible, as cheaply as possible, with minimizing disruption to the end users, not having to retrain them, especially if there's a lot of users using the app. And then from there, they'll look at longer term, what are their strategies for extending it and doing other types of modernization things to it. But with all that in mind, just so you know, we can also use customer-defined templates as part of the conversion process for those that are wanting a new look and feel for the converted applications out of the box. So just know that there are options, but keep in mind that this like-for-like is something that's very key typically in these types of conversion projects. Now with that, I want to introduce our demonstrator. I mentioned him at the beginning. It's Khalid Bey, and it's a great opportunity to actually have him available to present this morning. As I mentioned, he's a director of customer services and implementation, so he's the project manager on a lot of these projects. Khalid has been working with Oracle Forms projects for probably, Khalid, I want to say 20, 25 years. So he's seen all the way back doing Oracle Forms programming back in probably Oracle Forms 3, and just working in the different environments. He's been involved in upgrades. He's been involved in Java conversions. Really knows a lot about these environments. So we happen to have him available this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him so he can demo now.
Hi, this is Khalid, and again, as Matt said, it's my opportunity to demonstrate the demo and have any question answered this time or later on. Anyway, the first thing what I'm going to say is that what we are demonstrating today is a Summit application which consists of 3 forms, and main form calls the other form, and second form calls the third form, and that's the functionality we will show in the converted Java code, that the functionality is carried over to the Java by calling one form from other. The other thing is that it has a menu and 2 libraries attached with it. So I'm just going to give you like a 1-minute overview of this application. You can see this Oracle Forms application on the screen now. Can everyone see the application? I hope you can. I've already shared my desktop. Matt, can you see it?
Yeah, it's showing up. I think we're good.
Okay, so that's fine. So what this application consists of, this is the main form that consists of a tree structure, which is the master, and this master has this detail on the top right, and this detail has another detail, like so master, detail, and detail relationship, and that's what we are showing. Other thing is that it has like a tab canvas here, it has tree canvas, it has like sorting on the top, like the buttons are sorting, but since it's one racket, so it won't sort, but I'll give an example of more than one row that will sort. And basically this form calls another form which is your order form, and order form has like a MDI window, and it has a content canvas also, and then this form calls the third form which is your which contains the images. So all these functionalities are carried over in XLS, and you will see once I will do the conversion and deployment and run the application in Java, you will be able to see side by side how application runs in Java. So the first step what we do is we run the conversion tool, and for running the conversion tool, basically we have a process. Just give me right here. This is the conversion tool, and it can be run from either a DOS session as a Windows application, or it can be run as an integration with JDeveloper. So you can run both ways, basically. So what this conversion tool looks like is very simple, but at the back end we have spent a lot of time to do the migration and stuff. Like for example, if you encounter Go block, what you have to convert it to Java, and name. Like in Kong means like mostly in USA or Canada we use Kong, but if you're in Australia or something, you can change this Kong to AU, or if it is in India, you can say IN, ID or something like that. And the same is company name, you can change this name and you can change the application name. And I will show where these three things appear when the converted Java, we will go through converted Java code. The next thing is presentation layer. You can do presentation layer in Swing applet, or you can do in Java ADF format basically. So in this case we are going to do a Swing applet, and we will go from there. The third thing is input folder, where all your FMBs or modules are present, where the converted Java code will go. And last thing is database connection. Basically why we need the database connection is just for references purposes. We don't write anything on the database. We just go in the database when it is needed in the form. For example, if you are using row type or you are using column type, we go to the database and see if that column is character or if it is an integer or number. So, and then for conversion, there are a few things that you can do, like you can convert forms first, you can convert database or libraries, PL SQL or menu modules. The recommendation where we define in the training process, we say, okay, convert your libraries because it contains only your PL SQL logic. It doesn't have any presentation layer or anything that we have to convert. So we normally convert the libraries first, and then we will go and convert the menus and go and convert the form. So in this Summit application, we have two libraries which we are going to convert. So I select the library, either you connect, you can also convert database, that's a different subject we can discuss later, or in a question answer. Library conversion, basically we go in browser and we select the libraries that we want to convert. There are two libraries, we select them, and then we move it on the right side for conversion. We press the convert button, and conversion does not take, these are simple libraries with maybe a few hundred lines of code, so it shouldn't take more than like 30 seconds to convert. That's one small piece of conversion, but behind the scenes to do that conversion we have to spend many years basically. So in this case it will give you a log file, and I'll discuss the log file in the last stage when we finish converting the form. The next step in our process is to convert the menu. We take the menu, we do the same thing, we do the browser, and I know this is the menu file. I select the menu file and I say convert. The same thing, the menu is not that big a menu, and we convert and it gives you the output of the menu, what it is basically. The last thing is this form. And when we are doing conversion, basically I just want to take 30 seconds here. For PL SQL is again like we are creating Java code only. For menu there is a Java code as well as the presentation layer. Presentation layers are your menu items. So what it is doing, it is creating a Java code and as well as your presentation layer XML file. For forms, a little more than the menu itself. Basically, for forms, we are not only doing PL SQL and canvases, we are also doing list of values, which is part of the this presentation layer, alerts, and other things like parameters and program units. So there are too much of things involved in form conversion. So there are several passes that the conversion does going through the form conversion. So what I'm going to do, I will select all the three forms that is part of this application and say open and select on the right side and do a conversion. So once it will start conversion, it will give you like how many forms it has, like basically the percentage of forms. Here I will discuss about the log file and how we maintain the log file. As Matt mentioned, that we have an analyzer to find out if you are using something that a conversion might have problem converting, for example, go-to statement or something like that. That also will appear in this conversion process. If there is a go-to statement or some non-supported built-in here and there, then it will come up and say, okay, there is a warning, it found a go-to statement on this line and on this procedure basically. Other than that, normally the log file will be, and this log file is maintained on a daily basis. Like if you run this conversion to tomorrow again with the same form, a different form, what it will do, it will save this log file for today's log file in a different format. So you can do a due diligence or something like that later on, like 2 months later, if you need to know what you did the conversion on 2 months back and what was the error or warning you got when you were converting that form. Those log files are actually saved for how long you want to save. So the conversion process will give you like what step it has gone through, and if any of the steps gotten in between, but in this case like all the steps converted fine. So once the conversion is finished, what you do, you create a WAR file, a template WAR file. This step will do that for you basically. There are two ways to do that using this process, which is automated process for creating a WAR file that you can deploy later on any application server, or you can do a manual process which we have defined in our user guides or as a training process. That okay, take this, and you will create a WAR file manually. So it's your choice basically, but we suggest or recommend you use this option, so you would at least have a start point for the WAR file and then go from there. So once you select this option, it will say, okay, these are the runtime jar file it will take into the WAR file. If you want to add or remove any jar file there, you can do that. Otherwise, you normally do say, okay, generate this WAR file, which will go through the process and do the generation. So what you would do once the WAR file is generated, what you normally do, you take the WAR file and you deploy it in your application server. And an application server means like any JG2E compliant application server will take the WAR file we generate in this process basically. Which means like for example Oracle application server, Middleware Fusion, or WebSphere, or WebLogic, or WebLogic is already going to Oracle or Tomcat. In this process, what we have done for the demo purpose, we have already set up the application or deploy the application in Tomcat, and we are ready basically to run it. So the step as Matt mentioned was like analyze, prepare, convert, which we have done, and deploy and run. So basically deployment is already done under Tomcat environment, and basically it is ready to run. Any questions so far, or we will wait for the question for the end, maybe you can write your question now. So once it is deployed and run, you will see that this is how the application will appear. And I will put the second application, which is your form on the left side, and the converted Java code on the right side. You can see the look and feel is similar. Like I won't say it's exactly same, because there are some components like in Oracle form, the tree component has like plus and minus. It has a plus and minus, like for example plus and minus, but it also has folder specification. That's the tree component what Java provides. But the functionality is saying like you can select this one, it will bring the detail for this customer on the right side, as well as it will bring more detail on the bottom. So it has a master-child relationship, and it has a billing. And this one has a list of values, so it will show you the list of values that you normally see in Oracle form. Like if you go in billing, you can see the list of values right here. You can select any of the list of values. So tags are converted fine, and what I was thinking of showing to you is like, for example, if you go here, you can say customer, and you can sort customer on any order. You can sort on this one. What it does basically behind the scenes, when you press this button, it creates a dynamic URL clause and re-executes the query. You can do exactly the same thing in here. You select USA. There are 3 rows. You say okay, sort on phone number, and you will see that it has sorted, and it has dynamically sorted out customer. You can do a customer order. The next one I'm going to show it to you quickly is how it opens the form. So in an Oracle form, it opens the order form. The same, you can double click on the Java side, and we have mostly all the triggers available in Java. Like when mouse double click is a trigger which opens this form. And you can see like it has a NDI window. Java has an NDI window, like you can move the NDI window, go back or something like that. And the same is content canvas, which is a hub. You can have a content canvas here, which means like you cannot do anything on the back canvas until you exit out the content canvas. Basically the same functionality in the Oracle form. You can dynamically display the image and off image. Basically you can switch it if you want to display and then go from there. The third thing, you can open the next form which shows the images, and there's left and right arrows and selection. So you can do the same thing on Java side, opening the form with images and everything. So next, basically we also use the tool like the menu here. If you can see the menu here, the see a toolbar menu here, also like doing the execute query and other things. So we support toolbar menus and all those things. So basically this is what we showed during the demo, taking the Oracle form application containing 3 forms and converting into Java and then showing it how it appears in this model basically. The next step we normally do is to show you the before and after code, like what we have done basically for before and after code. And what I'm going to do is take this on the left side and then display what it is on the right side on the output summit. That is what we have created with 16.9 currently. We just finished doing that. So I'm going to go in this output folder and then use the form folder, sports code summit, which contains all the 3 forms basically, customer, order, and this one. So I'm going to take for example a customer form, what it was before and how it looks after. If you notice one thing, like in customer folder, this is the folder we created converting the customer form. It has like some subfolders like control, nav control, navigator, and customer, and it has some few Java classes. And one of the main classes is called customer.java, which is basically represents the customer form plus Java, which contains all the form level triggers, alerts, parameters, program units, and any other thing that is related to form level basically. It does not contain any XML or presentation list of values or presentation layer or canvases. Basically, it only contains the Java code that is required for the business execution. So if I go to this file and if I open it on Notepad, you will be able to see that what it contains. Basically, if you see here, there are alerts here, and I'm going to move it a little bit on the right side so we can look for the alerts here. There is a delete alert, and you can see a delete alert is right here, and it has a button yes and no, and it has button and alert. The same is for confirm river, and then this is what it does. The next thing it shows is pre-form. Here I would like to say what it has done here. We normally take all the form level triggers and put in this file, but what we do at the same time is we take the underscore out and dashes out to make the naming convention a Java convention. So in this one, like if you see form level trigger, there is a pre-form with dashes, and we do the dashes out, we make it pre-form. But the coding is exactly same, the execution process is exactly same. The pre-form trigger executes before the canvas appears, and it does whatever it does. It does in this one. This one, what it is doing is setting a null value to this global variable, and you can see the same thing here, like default values, it's global variables, and these things. This means the XSS support global variables, system variables, parameters, and other things at the same time. And what we have done using the default value, again it is a built-in, that we have put in default value without the dashes, but the naming convention is same. For me as an Oracle form programmer, moving to Java, it doesn't give me that much of a problem because I know what this default value means, what pre-form means, and I know when it will be executed and things like that. The next thing I can show in here is any of the other ones, maybe one which is a little bit better, like when new form instance. I'm going to show you with when new form instance logic, when window close, when new form instance right here. And again, you can see that we are looking for find item, we are looking for item, we are setting up the canvases, we are doing open a query, and then again, like we have taken this open a query with Oracle -- to open a query with / which is Java format, and this one is saying like refresh tree country, which is a program unit. This is why we are using this refresh country, and this is obviously present somewhere down here as a program unit. So I can look for that one in here. These are all the programs right here, like refresh tree country right here. So if you can see, this code is the program unit, and it is one-to-one conversion. And like for me to as a Java, like I'm not a Java developer, but I know Java to an extent where I can read the code related to what PL/SQL says. So I can say, okay, it is saying an open cursor, and it is going through open cursor. Basically, and it is saying if it is not found, then it is this is basically what Java code looks after conversion. So I think I'm ready to take questions if if you have any, and then if you want to see anything else, I will be happy to show it to you, and we can go from there.
Great. So what we'll do is we'll open it up for the Q&A now. We'll go silent for like 30 seconds, give you a chance to post your questions. Again, it's the on your WebEx toolbar, it's the button with the question mark. Go ahead and post your question there, and then we'll just start going through them in about 30 seconds. Thanks. All right, we'll go ahead and start going through the questions. The first question is, what versions of Java does your Exodus tool support?
We can support 1.4. We have certified our code for 1.4, 1.5, and we are working on one customer like as a beta verification or certification, I would say, which is 1.6.
Great. All right, next question. Can you provide some examples of other unsupported commands?
Yes, I can. Like in this Summit application, there is nothing, but I can tell you what unsupported commands are, and which are unsupported also with Oracle web version, which is your 10G and 11G. For example, your OCX, for example, or BBX are unsupported basically. And what we do is if you are using OCX or BBX component, for example, what you can do is after the conversion, you can try to find similar VBX or OVX which is provided by a vendor or you have created in-house, maybe create those into Java and then use them in there.
Great. Yeah, I know. One of the ones I always remember too, I always find it is build commands. And I don't know if that's back from like Oracle Forms 3 or not, but I know I see build commands show up, and obviously.
Yes, that's one of the it is like Bell used to be a version 3, like a client server dump terminal command, and which is carried over to newer versions of Form. Also like synchronize, for example, synchronize is also a very old command. When there was a serial line dump terminal, and then Oracle Form was not synchronizing the screen, so you have to put synchronize command to synchronize the screen actually what you want to see. But in Java, you don't need to use the synchronize command anymore. If it is there, we don't want you to take it out, but it's not going to execute because synchronization is working as Java look and feel is working properly.
Next question, maybe related to us talking about it. What versions of Oracle Forms will convert?
We do conversion from version 3 all the way to version 10, and now if you have anything in 11G, we would be happy to do that too.
Great.
Version 3, there is a two-step process, however. One is to take the version 3, which is your vector-based application, to a GUI application, which can be like 4.5 or 5 or 6i, which we normally take to 6i, and do some layout modification, and then to migrate to Java.
All right. The last question I have here, so if you have any other ones, go ahead and post them, but the last one I have here is, how is the tool licensed? So I'll go ahead and answer that one, Khalid. We actually license the tool on a per form basis. So we charge per form. You may have multiple developers working on it. We'll give you a license for each developer, but it's just priced per form. If you need specific details on that pricing, just follow up with your Unify CypherSoft representative. Now that's all the questions that we have posted so far. So what we'll do is we'll start to wrap this up, but if you think of any other questions, go ahead and post them, and we'll see them before we close it out in the next few minutes. So first of all, Khalid and I want to thank you for participating today. We hope you found it very useful. Just to summarize some of the key points from the webinar today is, we talked about these 4 key steps in the conversion. And hopefully, as what you saw in the demo, there is a very automated step that helps you walk through the analyze, prepare, and conversion in particular with the Exodus tool. And as you saw, it does full conversion of Oracle Forms application. And what our project, what we've seen with our customers and projects, some of them have done actual studies, and they've seen, based on their studies, that this automated conversion offers up to a 90% reduction in time versus a rewrite, which gives them some significant cost savings as well. The converted applications must still be fully tested, as with any conversion or rewrite project. And then as I mentioned, and I think as you saw in the code samples that Khalid showed you, once you do the conversion, there's no proprietary code going forward. You get all of that source code to maintain and extend. One other thing I'll mention on that maintain and extend that we didn't show today is sometimes we get questions about how to maintain and extend the visual layout of the forms once converted into Java. Because, in Developer, it was a WYSIWYG type of editor. And then in JDeveloper, unless you go the ADF route, how do you do that? We actually have a visual editor product that allows you to visually modify, add components and things like that in a WYSIWYG format, much as like how you did in Forms. That makes it much easier and quicker to maintain and extend the visual side of the forms once converted. So thanks again for participating. Just some upcoming events to keep in mind. If you're going to Oracle Open World next week, please come by and see us. We'll be there. We're at booth 2420. We'd love to see you and talk to you in more detail. We also are going to be at the Oracle User Group Conference in the UK in November. So for those of you over in Europe, come visit us there. Also, we do these webinars monthly. And stay tuned for the one next month. We'll actually go into more specifics in terms of key areas of the application itself to be converted. So we'll go into more specific examples of those one-to-one type of conversions of the different constructs in Oracle Forms, so you can see exactly what it is that gets converted and how it gets converted and what that's going to look like over in Java. Speaking of those monthly webinars, when you close out of this one, you'll get a little quick survey. Please just take 30 seconds. Let us know if you found this webinar useful, if it's what you expected. If there are things that you didn't get out of it that you were expecting, let us know that. Or any ideas for future topics, because we use that input from you guys to drive what the future topics will be. So if there's specific things that you'd like to see in an upcoming webinar, put that in your survey, and Khalid and I will be sure to incorporate it in the upcoming webinars. Thanks again.